Thank you for applying for a grant from the Mother Cabrini Health Foundation. We appreciate all the time and effort you are putting into your application. This video will cover how to fill out the Excel budget template that's required as part of your application. I'll give a quick overview of the document and then walk through how to fill it out using an example. When you download the file, you'll see that there are several different tabs. There's some instructions and detail on the different expense categories. There's the main budget tab where you input most of the information, and then schedules A, B, and C. I'll walk through these in more detail as we fill it out, but Schedule A is for salaries and wages, Schedule B is for other expenses, and Schedule C is for other sources of income. Different colors in different cells indicate whether or not that cell can be edited. Yellow cells are where you'll input all of the different information. All yellow cells are editable. You'll also see white and gray. Neither of these are editable. White cells contain references or formulas that reference different tabs, whereas gray cells are empty, locked, and cannot be edited. So, starting on the budget tab, the top of the document is where you'll put your organization's information. Here, starting in cell C and D4, you'll see organization's legal name. Please use your full legal name, the legal name that is tied to your EIN or tax ID. Next, you'll put in the name of your proposed project. Please make sure that this matches the same name of the proposed project or program you put in your application in Foundit. Next is the grant period start and end date. Different grant programs have different grant periods, and each budget template you download from Foundit should reflect the grant program for which you are applying. So for example, if you're applying for a 2020 statewide grant, the grant period start date is January 1st, 2021, and the grant period end date is December 31st, 2021. Moving down through the budget form, you'll see that the top part says income and the bottom part says expenses. The income is both your request from the Mother Cabrini Health Foundation and your income from other sources specific to this project or program. Down here, same thing for the expenses. So let's get started up at the top. Starting with the grant request that you are making to the Mother Cabrini Health Foundation. Cell C11 should match the same amount that you have in your grant request in your application in Foundit. You enter it here in the yellow cell and you can see that it's pulled down here to the bottom. For the other sources column, you'll see that you have some white cells here that are going to be pulled in from Schedule C. So in this example, there are 3 different sources of other income for this project or program. I have the name of 2 different foundations in one corporation. Then from a drop-down menu, you select the type, enter in the total amount, and you'll see here in the top right that the different amounts for foundations, corporations, other are totaled. This total of 50 from foundations and 50 from corporations in this case will be pulled back to the budget tab and totaled as $100,000 here. So now you can see the total income sources for this project. You have $200,000 from the Mother Cabrini Health Foundation, $100,000 from other sources, for a total of $300,000. This $300,000 should be the same number as in your application in Foundit when you input your total program or project budget. Moving down to expenses, it looks pretty similar to income. You have one column for Mother Cabrini and you have one column for other sources. So here in Mother Cabrini, you're going to break down exactly how you would use the grant. Some cells are white and some cells are yellow. For most of the cells, the yellow cells, you can manually input the different expense breakdown. So here you could just enter $20,000. But you'll see salaries and wages and other expenses have to be itemized on Schedule B. Starting with salaries and wages, we see here that it's $120,000. This comes from Schedule A. In this example, there are 4 different positions that are going to be covered or at least partially covered by this grant. So you can see here you enter in the position name, the role type comes from a drop-down menu, and then the salary you can choose. Salary here you enter, this is the annual salary, and then in column D you indicate how much of this position will be covered by the grant. So the executive director, position and role type are the same, Annual salary goes here, and you can see that this grant is only covering 10% of this position. But the program coordinator, on the other hand, here's the name, the role type from the dropdown, salary, and all of this position will be covered by the grant. Again, all of these cells are edited manually. They're automatically calculated in column E, automatically totaled in this column, and pulled back to the budget tab. Moving down to other expenses. This is where you'll detail expenses that don't fit into any of these categories, and they'll be itemized on Schedule B. So moving to Schedule B, you'll see that all these cells here are manually editable. For each type of other expense, it's helpful to have a brief description of what the expense is and just a simple calculation of how you came to the total cost. So in this example, they're going to use tablets loaned to program participants to track data. 1 tablet per participant times 25 participants times $400 per device, you can see here, is $10,000. There are 3 different other costs, which are input here, totaled in column D, and automatically pulled back to the budget. So you can see that all of these things together are automatically totaled here for the $200,000 grant request from the Mother Cabrini Health Foundation. For other sources, you'll see that all of these columns are yellow. You'll see that in this example, the $100,000 from the other sources are all going to salaries and wages. Note that unlike the funds from the Mother Cabrini Health Foundation, you don't have to add any more data on how exactly these will be used. So for other sources, you can just put in the high level of how they're going to be used. So similar to above, you can scroll down to double check that the amount from Mother Cabrini, the amount from your other sources are totaling correctly to your proposed program or project budget, and that the income, expenses, and founded all reflect the same request and the same total. So that's it for the budget template. If you have any other questions, please reach out to grantsupport@cabrinihealth.org. And thank you again for submitting a grant. We look forward to reviewing your application.